Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Stargirl Season 3, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 2 for this season, otherwise entitled The Suspects. But of course, before you get into anything else, let's actually watch the trailer.
A man is dead and there's a killer out there.
It's time to level up.
We find the laptop.
Find the killer. Nobody wants you back.
Stop!
So last episode was of course the premiere for, not for episode, but for Season 3 of Stargirl, which was entitled The Murder, and that's exactly what we saw happen at the end. We saw, well, the gambler get murdered. He came back into Blue Valley. We found out he was looking for his long lost daughter to him that he's really never known, otherwise known as Becky, otherwise known as Hazard when she's grown up. In the comics, who knows how that's going to play out in the show? That's a wait and find out. But we just see that Courtney and Sylvester get a bit more comfortable around each other and agree to actually share the staff. So we're going to have both Stargirl and Starman, at least for the short term, at the very least. Who knows where that goes at a certain point this season? We'll have to wait and find out. But yeah, there's been a murder, there's going to be some suspects, and that's why this episode is entitled, well, The Suspects. But of course, before we get into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly read out the synopsis or description for the episode, as it does give us a bit more information and context as to what's going on. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, obviously, predictions, all that. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking, especially with some of the stuff that's now been set up for this season of Stargirl. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, I want to show you support for the channel and the video and all that, and you're enjoying what's been happening so far this season, why not drop a like on the video and show support? After stumbling upon a suspicious murder in Blue Valley, the JSA begin looking at potential suspects. A tense run-in with the Shade makes Courtney and Pat realize that Sylvester's old ways could land them in hot water. Finally, Barbara steps in to help Paula, whose attempt at fitting in has not gone so well. So yeah, in this episode, it looks like we're picking up right where, you'd be expecting to, following a murder, and that's the solving of said murder, especially when it comes to a heroic group like our friends over at the JSA. Obviously, the way in which they go about it's going to be very interesting, and especially this entire episode is about that specifically, and I guess even the episodes to follow and what just route they go about it, because it seems like that's going to be the theme, at least the first half of the season, is this murder mystery, finding out who did it, and then maybe that stems off or grows off into another branch, which is the rest of this season, the villain. Maybe they're the ones behind the murder. You'd have to assume so. I guess it depends how long it takes us to get to that solving of the case. But speaking of like solving the case, obviously at the end of last episode, the person who's over the dead body of the gambler was Cindy. So will Cindy be held as a suspect, and I guess the top suspect, for long? Obviously, the title suggests we will run through the top choices for who would want to kill the gambler and have the means and the reasoning to do so, as well as done it in the way that we saw it at the end of last episode with the trailer that he was in just ripped open. It looked like he'd been hit by, it looked like Magneto had walked in and just flicked his wrist, if you want to call it, just ripped off one side of the trailer. Like, you'd have to be pretty strong or have some sort of powerful thing, or like use something like the cosmic staff to do that. But of course, Courtney was holding the cosmic staff at the time, so it wasn't that being used. Like, you'd have to assume that Crusher, or Sportsmaster and the Shade are the ones that are spoken to first, because they are former members of the ISA, have connections to the gambler, might have reasons to kill him. And of course, we, the audience, saw the Shade have that run-in with him, and then of course Crusher had voiced his displeasure of the gambler to Pat, so Pat will think of Crusher as well. And that might be why the Shade is dealing with what we see in this trailer, which we will get to soon in regards to discussing in this video. But they might be like, okay, well, Crusher's got an issue with him, so does the Shade as well. And then we might get a similar scene with the Shade talking to whoever it is in this episode, and maybe it replicates that diner scene, or maybe he just tries and says, hey, I have no issues with him, we were all good, no issues there. Now, of course, there's going to be tensions between the suspects of like Crusher, ISA people, and, I guess the JSA. But what about Cindy and the JSA? Is there going to be tension there? Because they're going to maybe treat her differently because they think that maybe she could be the one that killed the gambler. But also, it's very important to remember that maybe Cindy has evidence. Maybe she saw something when she was there and is holding off telling them. She seemed to be there, like, straight after that noise was heard by the JSA and they started running. And that seemed to be the same one that was heard when we saw the gambler attacked on the security footage. So it wouldn't surprise me too much if it comes out that Cindy saw something but doesn't want to say what it is. Maybe she's too scared to say what it is, or she knows exactly what it is and doesn't want to say anything because it could get her killed or get her in trouble. So Cindy could be a key part of maybe solving the murder, but it's information that she's scared to give out. So that'd be pretty interesting. And that might be why she's a bit back offish, going forward. And people might think that that's because she's guilty, but it's because she's scared. And even at the end of last episode, she looked scared when she was over the body. So I'm interested to see where that could go. Now, we learned that the laptop of the gamblers was taken. That's not said at the end of last episode, but that's probably why the trailer was ripped open, to get to the laptop. So what is on the laptop? Like, was it just taken because of the whole security footage crossing over to it, and maybe there's still access to it if someone goes into the trailer? Or is there another reason specifically? We might learn about it in this episode, or there's a suggestion for it. They do show the laptop, and I don't think it's like reused footage from last episode or episode 1, so it's someone else opening it up. So we might learn in this episode what was on there if it's not anything to do with the security footage. Once again, it's wait and find out. But I think that, as they say, if they find the laptop, they're most likely going to find the killer. But it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if that's another misdirect. Maybe they find the laptop and it's with someone, but they're not the killer at all. Maybe they've just given it to them. Maybe they found it. Could be something like that. Now, we do get to see Starman training Stargirl. This was in like the big season trailer before the show started. Of course, Starman does say level up, which might have some like traumatic flashbacks for Flash fans. I'm interested to see this. Starman looks really cool, with the staff, and we can see even Corny just, I guess leveling up with her glowing eyes. It's just like she's exuding much more energy than we've ever seen her before, because usually the energy was all coming from the staff, and it seems like the staff is now passing that energy through her as well. So, it wouldn't surprise me too much if there's some way where they can both use their powers or have powers. So someone's using the staff, and then someone's got like the staff energy within them. It wouldn't surprise me too much if that's the way they play out something this season. I don't know if they will, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if there's something like that, so both of them can be effective. But I am interested to see this scene. I want to see Courtney, I guess, learn more stuff from an expert like Sylvester. But the last bit of the trailer to talk about is Nobody Wants You Back. And this is said by the Shade to Sylvester, leading to a bit of a cosmic staff blast to the Shade's chest or something like that. Now, obviously, we don't have the context to this moment, from this meeting, but maybe the Shade just sort of picks up on something dodgy going on with Sylvester and, tries to push his buttons. But also we have Courtney witnessing this, and this might have her like not want to share the staff anymore with Sylvester. But also the synopsis does talk about, like Sylvester's old ways coming back and could land him in hot water because he is a bit of a hothead. So he might not be the best person to have on the field just because he can be a bit reckless. Sort of like how Rick can still be. But when you're like a person that should be a leader, you probably shouldn't be like that. So yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes and just how maybe that changes the relationship and dynamic between, I guess, specifically Courtney and Sylvester, but maybe even Pat as well. But the last thing to go over in this video is some promo images, which some of you might have seen before, so we're not going to spend too much time on them, but I'll include them because they are promo material for this episode. So the first one is Cindy. Obviously, this is the day after at school, after her finding that body. Rick's giving her a bit of a dirty look, so it looks like that might say all we need to know in regards to at least specifically what Rick thinks of Cindy, and she doesn't look too happy. We do have Pat and Sylvester. It looks like they're talking to the Shade in the diner. This might be following I wonder if this is before or after the blast that's in the trailer. I'm going to say it's before, but then it could be after as well. I'm not too sure, but it's just another meeting separate from the one where we see them fighting. Do get to see here Sylvester with the staff training Courtney, which is really cool. We do get to see Mike and Jakeem here at school. I think they're in high school now, so I think they're at the same school as Courtney. But they're with the Thunderbolt pen. Obviously, we did see at the beginning of last episode briefly because Jakeem was like delivering newspapers. But I guess this is going to be their first interaction on this season because, Mike had just come back from the holidays. So, yeah, looking forward to this and maybe some antics they get up to at school. And then we do get, I guess, some promo images revolving around that confrontation that's in the trailer with Sylvester and Courtney going to meet the Shade. And we do have Courtney here looking concerned. This looks to be like after the whole blasting, but she is holding the staff, so maybe she gets it off Sylvester to stop him being silly. And then we do have Crusher here. Now, I remember talking about this promo image when it first dropped, and it said he looked concerned and worried, and like despite what he thinks of the gambler, maybe he didn't want him dead, and like now he realizes that he's a suspect, and the way he talked about him probably doesn't shine the brightest light on him, and also the fact that he's now in Blue Valley puts like a target on his head, like oh, a murder went down, who were some criminals, so he might be hounded by not just like Pat questioning him, but even maybe like the authorities and stuff like that. So that'd be a very interesting thing to go on with Crusher, and he's trying to get his life back together, like just open the gym up again. So yeah, you sort of got to feel bad for him, though he was sort of threatening the gambler to Pat, so maybe he shouldn't have said that stuff. We do get Barbara and Paula here. That stuff was sort of hinted at in the synopsis, and then we do get some shots here of the JSA. And I think this is them just like discussing what went down and how they go about it, going forward, because they dealt with some crazy stuff, but now they're dealing with like a straight up just killer that they've got no idea what's going on with. There's no hint straight out of the gate. So who's next? Like, who's the next victim? Is Gambler the first, or is it the last? Who knows? But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about all the stuff we went over, any theories you have, any predictions, all that. Always curious to read it and see what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.